Views from the sea, Captain Paul here. Doing something a little different here on the boat. Managed to kind of get a laptop with the ability to edit a bit, actually make videos that with some, not just in person, but hey, why not? Views from the sea here. And let's just talk about these playoffs, man. They've been really interesting. A few interesting storylines to kind of talk about. And this video, not going to be the usual 3-4 minute, might be 10-minute video. But just kind of want to talk about some of the interesting storylines going throughout this postseason and go from there. I want to talk about the Avalanche, and I want to talk about two players, actually. Georgiev and Middlestat. Now, Georgiev had a great bounce back in Game 2 after that really rough Game 1, and his defense didn't do him any favors, so I'm not going to sit here. It's all on him. But he had a very good bounce back performance, looked solid, and if he can play like that most nights, the Avalanche, yeah, they are a cup contender. They really are. Now, I don't think this, it's a 1-1 series. Winnipeg Jets have shown the ability to have a lot of firepower themselves. I did pick the Jets in 7 in my prediction video. I still think that can happen. But the Jets are going to have to be far better at containing the offensive weapons. And I know, kind of moving on to this other player, I know Middlestat, he's not been crazy amount of points, but he's been so impactful. Like when you watch him out there, most of the time you notice him making a difference, whether it's like, a good defensive play, grinding up for a puck, setting something up. Like I really thought Middlestat has been really impactful. And his situation's interesting because he's 2.5 million, and he's going to be an RFA at the end of this year. With the Avalanche, you got to be a little bit happy with that type of performance. He's shown that, he can fill a center line second role really nicely. And I think more points will come with time with him. Another kind of thing I do want to talk about is the Canucks. Now, that series is tied 1-1. Predators had a very good game. It was, overall, very little shots on goal for both teams. I thought they, in all things considered, both did really good at limiting dangerous opportunities. But then when there was mistakes, there was mistakes. For me, with the Canucks, due to Demko being out for most likely the series in the last report I saw, I'm a bit concerned about the Canucks going forward. I think DeSmith, while there's only really one quote-unquote bad goal I saw, I do think his rebound control is a bit worrisome. And maybe that's a bit unfair to say with some of the shots in the areas, but, his rebound control kind of led to a goal or two, if I'm remembering correctly. And is he going to be good enough to propel the Canucks to the second round? Now, the Canucks have all the talent on paper. But Patterson's got to be more impactful on the offensive side of the ice and be less of a blooper reel on the defensive side. He's had some really bad defensive miscues, some bad turnovers. He doesn't look right. And, outside of Patterson, you still have plenty of weapons over there in Vancouver. You should be able to outscore some of your issues. But if DeSmith can't raise his level of play, I am concerned about their ability to even beat the Predators. I think we might have an upset. Now, if Demko does come back, I feel more confident about my pick with the Vancouver Canucks. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a tough call, and it could change, right? Next game, Game 3, DeSmith could go out there and have like a 30-28 save shutout. And that changes my tune and makes me feel more confident. But right now, I do have a little bit worries with the Vancouvers going forward. Because Nashville, while, they do have good players, by the way, like Phil Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly. Nyquist had a hell of a year, actually, with them, too. And Roman Yossi's Roman Yossi. They don't have, a huge amount of secondary scoring. But they got enough great players on that roster to make you pay. And if they'll stifle you offensively with their great, good system and then great goaltender in Soros. They're a team you kind of don't want to play, and Soros has looked really freaking good. He's made some really great saves in these first couple of games. It's first game might have not been the outcome you wanted as a Predators fan, but Soros I thought looked great, especially in that second one. Um, and this is kind of a random one for me. The Bruins and Maple Leaf series. It's interesting because game 3 had all the drama regarding the officiating, and the officiating, if I'm going to be blunt, was dog shit for both teams. There was a lot of missed calls on the Bruins. There was a lot of missed calls on the Maple Leafs. Got to be better. The refs got to be better. Absolutely have to be better. That was just, I don't know what that game happened, but both teams, Maple Leafs got a lot of power play opportunities, didn't capitalize them, and if the Leafs are going to kind of get rid of this boogeyman of the Bruins team, get rid of this curse, quote unquote, they're going to have to kind of use their skill and their speed to their advantage. What I've noticed with the Leafs at times, I feel like they're getting too caught up in trying to out-physical a team like the Bruins. And it's not like this iteration of the Bruins, like the big bad Bruins, but they got some guys, some thumpers and guys that are willing to grind it out in the corners. That's not the Leafs game. And I think when they get sucked into that trap, it doesn't allow them to play that kind of high skill game where I feel they thrive. And maybe you need a little bit of jam, but I feel like when I'm watching Domi and Bertuzzi, they're trying to. I think they're getting a little bit too lost in the whole agitation, trying to be a rat. I know Marchand's got a great reputation for that, but if they played more of their game, I think they'd find more success. But they've all been really entertaining games. They've all been close. Could have gone the either way. And, outside game 1 where the Boston Bruins won 5-1, but game 2 and 3 have been close. And I don't think this series is over by any stretch of the imagination. Will Nylander come back? That's the most interesting thing. Has to, I assume, have to be lower body with him, like a groin thing. But yeah, I think fans claiming either way, that series is over for Bruins are win 5 or Bruins in this or Leafs in this. I think this could still go 6 or 7, and we have a lot of fun hockey still left to go, and we're going to see a lot of antics between Bertuzzi, Marchand, Domi's even getting involved. We got a lot of fun things left to watch for sure. And I want to talk about the Knights, because they're a second wildcard team, but they're really not a wildcard team. They're stacked. They're up 2-0 in that series, and it's been incredible to see them play. You go into the playoffs, you have Stone's back, you have Hurdle, you have all these other pieces. You brought in Hannafin. That team's loaded. That team is not a wildcard team. That's a team that should be at the top of the Western Conference. If that team was on paper and played a whole season, they'd be towards the top of the Western Conference, if not at the top. And they have the luxury, of Thompson. Now, Thompson actually kind of let in a weak goal against Dallas, and he's lucky they still won that game. But they didn't let it. Vegas didn't let it slip away from them. But the Knights have the luxury of having 2 good goalies, because if Thompson does, struggle, you have a guy in Aiden Hill who took you the distance last year and was absolutely fantastic. Most teams don't have that luxury of a proven playoff winner. Whether you want to say it was just a hot streak or whatever, but Aiden Hill, when he's healthy, has shown, at least in a Knights uniform, he's a very good goalie. He's a damn good goaltender. And as for the Stars, they have a lot of depth scoring throughout the season. They need these guys to step up. Robertson's had some nice moments, but they need everybody on that roster to really step up and produce. And Jake Ottinger is going to have a Jake Ottinger game. He's going to have that, that's the Ottinger game. He's going to have a signature game if they're going to beat the Golden Knights. He's going to have to play out of his mind. And I'm not saying he's been horrific, but he's going to have to reach another level and kind of not make this series get away from me. Game 3 for him's got to be one of the best games he's ever had in his career. You cannot go down 3-0 against the Knights. You just can't. And Kings, Oilers, that's going to be fun. I think that's going to be that. It's kind of weird, right? It's that went to overtime, second game. Kings won 5-4. First game was a shootout. Kings got some weird wonky goals. Like I felt Stuart Skinner got a little screwed on a couple of those goals. Few with like 3 goals just went off a defender's skate or whatever, broken stick play. The last one that he let in, I'm like, Jesus, I'd be pissed if I'm like, God damn, like I can't catch a break. But that series is gonna be that series is a lot of fun to watch. But the the Kings have to make sure they try to keep lessening McDavid's impact. Because when McDavid's like, in the first game, for example, like spinorama, setting up his teammates and like making Hyman score a hat trick, like that's when McDavid is most lethal. And that's why I felt like McDavid's done really well this year. He's like the year prior, 60 goals, but this year he's been like an amazing playmaker. He can still score. He still has an amazing shot, but he's really facilitated and made his line mates a lot better. And last night, or the other night, I should say, only had 1 assist. He still had some impactful moments. But, if the Kings are going to succeed, they're going to have to try to... You can't shut down McDavid, but you need to minimize his impact as much as you can. And even with that, though, the Oilers still have so much talent, right? Like, so much talent on that roster. And they've played a lot better defensively since the coaching change. But it's been a lot of fun watching these series. Some of them I had to watch I'd get the scores, but I had to go watch like a replay because I'd be working. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun playoff hockey. And I'll mention the last couple series here. Talked about the Bruins and Maple Leafs. I'll talk about, why am I blanking right? Oh yeah, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning. Florida's up 3-0. And Florida's just playing really good. And I felt... And some people point this out in comments, and I don't think they understood when I said this. I said Florida's kind of changed, like they've hit a different gear since that playoff run last year. When they just slipped in the playoffs, like, oh, they won the President Trophy the year before. But even then, like the Panthers struggled in the playoffs, struggled to have playoff success, and they built and made some smart trades to bring in particular personalities to succeed. Like Kachuk has been a great signing. Paul Maurice has been good for them after Quenneville, that cool Quenneville situation. But Florida just looks like they're playing with just such a confidence and such a belief in themselves, and they have talent. I mean, Lundell looked like Adam Oates last night. With something like, he made some really nice plays. Tarasenko, like, they made smart trades at the deadline to keep improving this roster. Overall, I've been really just really, really impressed with what I've seen with the Panthers and the dominance. And as for the Tampa Bay Lightning, you still have one of the best players in the NHL with Kucherov. Vasilevsky can be a dominant force, but it's just... Well, some of these games have been, competitive. It's not like they're blowouts, but it just seems like Florida's just a little bit too deep. Tampa Bay still has great players on that roster, but they're not as deep as the Panthers. Defensively, offensively, and Bobrovsky has played... I don't know if this will get me flack. I think Bobrovsky's played better than Vasilevsky. I'm not saying that to condemn or insult Vasilevsky because he's a world-class goaltender, but Bobrovsky has, again, hit another level. He's been spectacular. I mean, that arm save, like, just like, I watched that live. I'm like, no way did he just save that. That was incredible. No way he saved that. This is, Florida is one of these teams that... It would be great if this didn't glitch on me. Florida's just one of these teams that is really stacked. And while they're going to have some cap situation to deal in the offseason, right now they're loaded and they're looking dangerous. I've talked about Dallas Knights, Winnipeg, Colorado, Vancouver, Edmonton, Vancouver versus Nashville, Edmonton versus Kings, Florida, Tampa, Boston, Toronto. I talked about them, right? Yeah, I talked about them. I think I did. Yeah, I did. Sorry. Dimension hitting early, I guess. And, all right, we'll talk about the series, both series that might end in sweeps. Let's talk about the New York Rangers versus the Washington Capitals. Got to give it to the Capitals. I mean, they're massively overpowered in this series. I mean, Ovechkin I know people want to be like kind of piling on Ovechkin. Oh, he's not impactful. I'm like, it's an older guy. It's not like prime Ovechkin anymore. They're outmatched, outgunned. And the only way they would have had a chance in this series if Charlie Lindgren just, channeled his inner like Dominic Hasek, Patrick Waugh, Martin Brodeur, and just was incredible. And he's played pretty solid, I think. I've thought. I mean, there's a couple goals that definitely on him, but he's kind of respecting the backside or the situation. But I think he's played okay. But they have made these games They made these games interesting. They have, and hats off to them because they finished the season with a negative goal differential. The problem is though, in these games, if you score even 2 goals on the Capitals, they're going to struggle to keep up. And you're kind of noticing that they don't have much firepower. They just don't. So Rangers are doing exactly what they should be doing. Shesterkin, solid enough. Rangers are just better top down on that roster, and I'm not seeing anything crazy. I gave Washington they'd win a game just because I thought like they'd steal one, and that could still be possible. But watching these games, I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is the Rangers series to lose, really. And I'll talk about Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Islanders. And I'm admittedly having a little bit of fun just joking around with that series because of the reaction some of the prediction video got, which I don't think people understand. I'm just poking fun. The Islanders, that was their best game last night. They've done a really good job at blocking a ton of shots. They've kept up with a very good team in Carolina. Sorokin ended up getting pulled, right? But overall, they're down 3-0, but I got to give it to them. They've been fighting. They've been keeping these close. The guys have been blocking shots like crazy. They have frustrated, I felt like, the Canes at certain points. But Carolina's just such a damn good team. I mean, Frederik Andersen, who I feel like starting to get some of the flowers he deserves. He's played like that save he made on the goal line, glove up, just incredible. And that was the best performance I've saw from the Islanders in the playoffs. Better than Game 1, Game 2. They had that historic collapse where they were up by a few goals, and then they just lose it. like late into the third. But last night was kind of a gut punch because that's a game you're looking at, and you're like, you need a goalie to make a save there on some of those shots. Doesn't happen. I felt the Islanders played a really good game, but just didn't really pan out for them at all. Can they win a game? Maybe. But after losing such a game like that last night, I think this series is over. I think the Canes are going to take care of business and wrap it up in 4. Playing with house money. The Islanders are just outmatched in every single way. But 6 o'clock, we got hockey coming on here in, about an hour. So I don't know if this video will be up during the game, before the game, whatever. Depends on how the internet is here. But if you guys enjoyed a little bit of a different scenery, a little bit different backdrop, had a little bit of fun with it, let me know. Comment sections down below. Let me know your thoughts on each of these series. Who stood out to you the most? What team is impressing you the most? What team has disappointed you the most? I'd love to know that in the comment sections down below. See you in the next one.